Hey, and welcome to the Possible Diet 5-Week Jumpstart, week 4. So there's a popular expression in yoga where a teacher will say, if that's available to you, as in, try to touch your toes if that's available to you. And this week, I want you to think about not only what's available to you, but what you're willing to be available for. This week's habit is portion control. And portion control is basically deciding what you're willing to be available for. Now, the way that this plays out in the real world is something like this. You're in Target, you're hungry, forgot to pack your snack, the line is ridiculous, people are being rude, and you look over and you realize there's a sharing size bag of M&Ms right there in the checkout line, and a thought comes into your head. Remember, the thoughts are like the fish in the river, and the thought that floats by is chocolate. Chocolate sounds good. And really the thought is something like, chocolate would just take the edge off this nightmare of a day. And even though it's junk food, and I promised myself I was going to take today off sugar, I'm starving, and it'll be an hour and a half before I can get home and make a salad with grilled chicken. And this chocolate is just to tide me over. And what's the big deal? It's just one bag. I was totally good yesterday. And then you decide that you're available for a bag of M&Ms. Only instead of having like a couple of M&Ms to tide you over, you're just eating the whole bag in the car on the way home. And another thought, another fish floats by, and that thought is, oh crap, that lettuce in the fridge is probably bad. Well, I've blown my diet for the day. I should just hit the drive-thru for the fries and shake that I denied myself yesterday because this day is a wash. And just like that, you're available for something today that you weren't available for yesterday. This is not going to be easy every day, but I want you to consider whether in that moment when you're saying, I deserve this, what you're really saying is, I am not worth taking care of. Because you know what? You are worth taking care of. You are worth nourishing. You're not a dumpster, and you don't deserve to put garbage inside of you. You don't deserve to be filled with trash. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have chocolate or a hamburger or fries or a milkshake. What it means is that finding your balance with food is going to require scaling back those old habits of turning to food for comfort, and giving space to new habits that treat food like fuel and nourishment. That's all. Portion control is not just about what you put on your plate. It's also about what portion of the food you eat in a day is healthy and good for you, and what portion is maybe not so healthy. You maybe not even good for you, and in fact is probably slowly building a prison around you one brick at a time. If you've seen The Shawshank Redemption, and if you haven't seen it, you should stop this video right now, go watch it, and then come back. I want you to think of yourself like Andy Dufresne, okay? This diet is your rock hammer. You are going to use it, all of these habits, like Andy Dufresne used his rock hammer, to dig yourself out of a prison that you built one bite at a time. It's going to feel like a dig to China sometimes, but sometimes it's going to feel like the only power that you have, like you finally have control over something that has kept you trapped in a body that you're not happy with. And that's going to give you a sense of agency, and that agency, that feeling like you can actually make a difference in your own life, one small, consistent choice at a time, is going to be more attractive than a bag of M&Ms at Target. Remember, you have everything you need inside you to be where you want to be. It's your choice. You just have to decide what you're willing to be available for. It's that simple. So it's not easy, but it's simple. So the 3 ways you're going to practice portion control this week are, number 1, portion control 1 meal every day this week. Number 2, don't clean your plate 2 times this week. And number 3, read 3 nutrition facts labels this week. So when I say portion control, I mean 1 portion of protein the size of your palm, 1 portion of a high fiber carbohydrate the size of your fist, or alternatively, 2 fists of vegetables and 1 thumb full of fat. Try to make that a meal. Now, depending on your calorie needs, you might need to eat 3 or 4 or 6 meals like this a day. But just one meal, once a day this week, I want you to practice controlling your portions using your hand. And this is so you can get a sense of how much food that and just that is. Second, I want you to not clean your plate 2 times this week. I know this sounds really weird. Practice eating according to how you feel, not what you see. Habit is a really powerful thing, and if you're in the habit of finishing a meal when your plate is empty, as opposed to finishing a meal when you're satisfied and you're no longer hungry, then you can be in the habit of eating more than you actually need. And breaking that habit is going to mean getting used to feeling like you don't have to clean your plate. In fact, that you probably shouldn't clean your plate until you're aware of, how much you need to eat. Practice eating less than you're in the habit of eating. Lastly, I want you to read 3 nutrition facts labels this week. Reading labels is important, not just so you're aware of what you're putting in your body, but also so that you can be aware of how much something has per serving in terms of the amount of protein, carbohydrates, fat, and also added sugar. What you might think is 1 serving may actually be 2, and you won't know unless you read the label. It might surprise you how many grams of added sugar your favorite yogurt has. Just 1 container of yogurt. It might surprise you that that container of yogurt might be 2 servings. It might surprise you that the box of mac and cheese you love is actually 3 servings, not 1, not 2, and that 3 servings of mac and cheese in a box have, way more calories than you think. You might be eating 750 calories instead of 250, and you are what you eat. So 3 times this week, I want you to know for sure what you're putting in your body. Okay, those are 3 ways that I want you to practice the habit of paying attention to portions, and I'll see you in a couple of days for your recipe tutorial and meal prep.